Now, suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo has today sent a passionate plea to her colleagues, judges at the Supreme Court, pleading with them to halt the process to remove her, as she alleges she's being deliberately subjected to mental torture by the investigative committee put together by President John Mahama to probe the petitions against her. That is our top story tonight, and we will have all the details for you shortly, including take you to Parliament, where the subject has already left the House divided on its first day back from recess. But first, to a story that has been breaking in the last few minutes. The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Nchibo Siako, popularly known as Chairman Wumi, has been arrested and detained by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, EOCO. He was picked up following a visit to the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters today. Yesterday, the police CID officially cautioned him for allegedly engaging in mining operations without a license, polluting water bodies, and unlawfully entering a forest reserve. He's being investigated on these issues. We understand he's currently being held at the EOCO headquarters. My colleague Latif Idrisu is there for us and joins us live. Latif, what can you report?
Yeah, Kojo Brace, you are absolutely right and spot on that. As we speak now, I'm currently at the EOCO building, and I'm looking at a very fortified EOCO, which looks a bit different from the regular days when you pass by this particular building. Today, it is fortified. You have, EOCO officials strapped with guns and with body armor, with headgears, well protected. Guarding the building. And like I mentioned, this is quite different from the usual when you walk by or you drive past the EOCO building. And it is because of what is happening here. It has to do with what you just mentioned in your intro right there about the arrest of Chairman Wumi. And if you recall, yesterday he was at the CID headquarters. He had turned himself in upon an invitation by the police. Now, today, as a follow-up, he went to the CID headquarters with the intention of reporting as part of his bail condition, only to be picked up by
your call has been put on hold.
From Yoko, who have brought him here, and he's currently building. And already, party people are gathering here in the front of the Yoko building, and this is just the beginning. The suspicion is going forward. If Chairman Wumi is not released within the next few minutes, we're going to have a huge number of sympathizers, supporters, followers of the New Patriotic Party, massing up here at the UCO building to protest and call for the release of the chairman of the New Patriotic Party, as they did yesterday. I'm referencing the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party.
Interesting. Do you have the party members entering the EOCO office? Have you seen any movement there?
For now, we have them outside the main building of EOCO. So far, I cannot report about any entry of any official of the New Patriotic Party. Nana B, I can see, is the topmost official of the New Patriotic Party here. There are others though, but he is, if you look around, you would say he is the topmost official of the New Patriotic Party. Secretary, I'm told, is also around, but I've not spotted him around. But I'm told he is around here. Let me try and see if I could get hold of the Secretary of the New Patriotic Party to tell us, what exactly is going on with Chairman Wumi. I'm sure he will have inside information as far as the interrogation of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party is concerned. I'll try and catch JFK if I could. Otherwise, I could.
Okay, Latif, so we have Kojo himself with us, so let me try and get him here. Kojo, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, what briefing have you received so far at the Yoko?
Good evening, and good evening to your cherished listeners. There's this evening around 4 p.m. thereabout, I received a call from cousin of Chairman Wumi that after attending to the invitation by the Ghana CID, on his way out, and when he had sat in his car, his car was surrounded by some 4 pickups, and as at that point there was a bit of confusion because he didn't know what was really happening. Initially, they were thinking that they were officers from the NIB, but eventually they were told that they were from officers from Yoko. So when we got wind of the news, myself and the national organizer and the third vice chairman came to Yoko. So as I speak to you now, we are at Yoko. And when I inquired from them, they said that they are doing some investigation or some putting certain things together. And when they are ready, they will come back to us. So as it stands now, we are still at Yoko.
So you don't know exactly on what charges he's been picked up by Yoko?
No.
Have you been allowed access to him?
No. We have not been given us the chance to meet with him.
And the reason is that they are putting things together before?
Well, that's what we have been told.
So what does the party intend doing now? I mean, now that you're there?
Well, we are very surprised because this is a person who was invited by the Ghana Police Service, and he honored that invitation. So if indeed, in good faith, Yoko also wanted to invite him, they could have also done so. Sometimes we don't need to create unnecessary tension and unnecessary discussions which could have been avoided. No one is above the law. We all agree. We are all respecters of the law. But at least for the sanctity of our state institutions, for the sanctity of our democracy, at least we don't need to go through drama and this Ramos style of arresting people and trying to show that we are in government and we have the power. That's not necessary. That's not necessary at all, where we have gotten to as a country. And it reminds me of the statement that the president made when he was being sworn in, that he's going to be a father for all. And he said that even things that didn't go on well during our MPP's time, he will make sure that it doesn't repeat it. And what we are seeing, if the kind of resetting that they are resetting the country, then I'm afraid for our democracy. At least if you want to invite someone, let us go through the normal process, just like what the police did. But I don't know what Yoko intend to achieve with this kind of Rambo-style arrest.
So I mean, once you are displeased with the way they took him, what's your game plan to try and deal with the issue?
Well, first and foremost, we need to ascertain the reason for his arrest. Once we get to know the reason for it, then as a party, then we take the next line of action. And per our constitution, certainly he cannot be held beyond 48 hours. So even if they want to keep him, well, they have the right to do so. But at the end of the day, he will still be entitled to all the legal processes. But we don't need to go through this unnecessary tension at this point in our country.
Is he there with his legal representation, or he's there alone?
Well, a lawyer up here could be, I'm told, is with him now.
Do you foresee him being kept there over the night?
Well, I won't be surprised. Because we are politicians. We understand the job. We pick someone around 4, getting to 5 in the evening. I don't know what their intentions are, but to be honest with you, I will not be surprised if he's kept overnight.
You see it more of a political game?
Well, for what is happening, what else conclusion can I draw? Certainly, that is what we are witnessing. Because if genuinely, if in good faith, you want to invite him, you can write to him, and that does not prevent Yoko from doing their work. So if there are issues, there's a right process for you to go through. Inviting him does not change anything, does not harm the institution. They can do that. But why this kind of Rambo-style arrest? With cars surrounding his cars and with armed men causing scene on the public street. Is that necessary at this time?
Well, okay. So you will be there till he's released, or what your target?
Well, so we are waiting to hear if they indeed will communicate to us as to why they are keeping him, or if they intend to keep him overnight. Then we will know our next line of action.
All right. I'm grateful to you, General Secretary Justin Kojo, for joining us here on Top Story. He is currently at the IOCO headquarters, where we understand that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Chairman Woon to me, is being kept for interrogation as to why or what charges. We've not been able to get details, but we understand that the General Secretary Justin Kodia, together with other party faithfuls, are there. Our reporter Latif Idrisu is there, and we will be updating you as and when we do get some update from the Yoko head office there. This is still Top Story. I want to now take you to our main developing story tonight. Suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonu has today sent a passionate plea to her colleagues, judges at the Supreme Court, pleading with them to halt the process to remove her, as she alleges she's been deliberately subjected to mental torture by the investigative committee put together by President John Dramani Mahama to probe the petitions against her. Now, the Chief Justice herself has now filed supplementary affidavit in support of interlocutory injunction against the current process, in which she's tearing into the conduct of the committee hearing the petition, calling for her removal. My colleague Papani Ashele joins me in studio with more from this petition. Papani, she reveals that she's not being told the basis on which the prima facie case has been determined.
Brace, to bring to you excerpts of that statement or that affidavit, is that on the 23rd of May 2025, notwithstanding receipt of the processes filed in the Supreme Court, including the application for interlocutory injunction, the members of the committee, she wrote, indicated their resolve to proceed with the conduct of the inquiry. Now, it goes on to say that this was so, even though I have to date not been told the basis for the determination of a prima facie case against me and the specific allegations in respect of which a prima facie case has been established for me to answer, to enable me determine my legal rights or prepare a defense to the charges against me, Brace.
She then talks about her lawyer not being recognized by the committee.
Well, yes, in that same affidavit, she says that on the same previous adjourned date of the committee sitting of the 15th of May 2025, at which I was represented by counsel, the committee refused to recognize my counsel simply because I was not personally present, and proceeded to fix subsequent hearing dates and make arrangement for the hearing without involving my counsel, even though she says the counsel was present. The committee, she says again, shockingly, simply refused to recognize the same counsel on whom it had served a hearing notice only a day before, Brace.
Now, she goes further in this affidavit to talk about, the fact that the commissioner is sidestepping known rules of procedure.
Well, that she says that the committee on the said 23rd of May 2025, contrary to known rules regulating the proceedings of committees and commissions of inquiry, indicated that the petitioners shall not give evidence themselves, but shall be calling other witnesses to give evidence to support the petition. That this is completely offensive to known rules of procedure regulating the work of committees, commissions of inquiry, as the so-called petitioners or complainants, when they formally appear before the committee or commission of inquiry, are mere witnesses. And this is what she's saying, that the status quo is that petitioners, when they appear before such a commission of inquiry, are mere witnesses whose evidence will have to be taken and cross-examined on oath by the person affected by the proceedings. And she says that as it stands now in this case, that has been turned upside down, and it's been done the other way around, where the petitioners, he says, have told the committee that they will not be given, their words will not be their evidence. However, they'll be relying on witnesses to make their case.
Then she brings in the case of she being subjected to mental torture?
Well, Brace, on that subject matter, she was very extensive on it. I'll walk you through some of the things she says. She says that there are other developments like the denial of access into the hearing room for my husband and children, searches on my body, denial of access to telephones and laptops for myself and my lawyers. Even though counsel for petitioners, she says, have access to their phones and laptops, and the conduct of the hearing itself in a high security zone at the premises of the Castle Osu show a deliberate, according to her, effort to subject her, Justice Gertrude Tokonu, to mental torture and degrading treatment in violation of what she says are her fundamental human rights. She goes on to say that Article 1 forces proceedings, with the exception of the one I am being subjected to, had hitherto been held in a judicial facility. She says that the article under which she's being queried has, over the years, according to her, been done in the judicial facility, specifically the court's complex. She says the location of the proceedings, which is mentioned, Osu Castle, affect her to, and again she's cordoned under high security facility. Boggles the mind. Brace.
She's going deeper into this, but again, she has a plea to her colleagues at the bench.
Well, she's asking that based on what she says, the persistent violations of the constitutional rights show that the whole proceedings initiated against her, Justice Tokonu, are a mockery of justice and a ruse to unjustifiably remove her from the office as the CJ. That, she says, respectfully she prays for the court to intervene by granting an injunction to prevent the assault on judicial independence and also to protect the security of tenure of CJs and justices of superior courts of justice at play in the instant case. Brace.
All right, thank you very much, Papani Ashale there. Also tonight, the government is preparing to legislate new rules to guide the removal of Supreme Court and other Superior Court judges. The announcement made by the Majority Leader, Mahama Yariga, on the floor comes as the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, is currently logged in the process seeking to remove her. The process has so far been criticized by the opposition NPP, which she says it is simply an attempt by the NDC to unfairly remove the CJ. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, let's hear from Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiaje, who described the effort underway as a shameful attempt to subdue the judiciary and pack the courts with NDC loyalists.
Audacious attempt by the presidency to undermine judicial independence have reached dangerous proportions. The nation watched in disbelief as the executive launched brazen efforts to remove the Chief Justice of the Republic. An assault not merely on one officer holder, but on the very sanctity of the judicial branch. At the same time, the president is seeking to pack the Supreme Court with loyalists. 7 nominations in one swoop, clearly designed to bind the hands of the Judicial Council and tilt the highest court in the land towards executive interest. Equally troubling is the identity of the legal practitioners leading this crusade. While the right to counsel is sacrosanct and every citizen is entitled to legal representation of their choosing, it is profoundly disquieting that the lawyers spearheading the campaign against the Chief Justice are individuals publicly known to have represented or are still representing both the President and the Speaker of Parliament in active legal matters.
Patricia PJ is Deputy Minority Leader there. Our Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent, Kwaku Asante, has been in Parliament the whole day, and he joins me on the telephone lines with details. Kwaku, first, let's start from the Majority Leader. Did he explain what form these new rules will take?
No, because Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, which is already an entrenched provision, provides the rules that guides how to remove Superior Court judges, particularly Supreme Court judges, and the Chief Justice. And that is what is currently being implemented. In his speech, he did indicate that these are going to be rules that will guide how Superior Court judges are removed. That will be from High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice, him or herself, whoever will be in that office. But it would appear that the government has taken a position that the constitutional provisions as it is currently does not detail the process enough, given the concerns that have been raised about the fairness of the process. Listen to Mahama Yarga as he delivered the welcome remarks on the floor and gave the information about these developments.
By the time we finish passing these bills, the legal architecture of Ghana would have received a significant overhaul. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Attorney General will also introduce several subsidiary legislation. They include the Corporate Insolvency and Restructuring Regulations, the Court of Appeal Rules, Economic and Organized Crime Office Operations Regulations, Economic and Organized Crime Office Terms and Conditions of Service Regulations, High Court Civil Procedure Amendment Rules, Interpretation Regulations, Judicial Service Terms and Conditions of Service Regulations, Legal Aid Commission Regulations, Supreme Court Rules, and very significantly, removal from office of Justices of the Supreme Court Rules. The President, John Dramani Mahama, is determined to fast-track legislative reforms to strengthen our institutions of governance and further entrench our democracy. The President is committed to legislative clarity with transparency when it comes to the constitutional mechanics of the removal of justices of the superior courts.
So that's the Majority Leader there. Let's now go on to the phone lines now and bring in Godfrey Yeboah-Dame. He is former Attorney General and also lead counsel for the CJ in this particular matter. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Your client is talking about she being subjected to, things that go against her human rights. As a legal counsel, why is she making that point now? Do you know?
You're asking why she's making that point now?
Yes, yeah, because you've been with her, you know exactly what is happening.
Yes, everything is contained in the processes that we filed before the court, and we just asserting our inalienable right. I mean, the inalienable right of every citizen, no matter how highly placed or lowly placed in society. It is a right that even persons who are standing trial for the gravest offenses against the state, treason, even stealing, causing financial loss and all that, are given. And therefore, it is quite mind-boggling that the whole Chief Justice is denied such basic rights. And that's why we're in court. And I'm sure you're aware.
But in terms of the basis on which the prima facie case was determined, if you read through the process for the removal, it is not quite clear whether or not she has to be told.
I'm not prepared to re-argue the matter. I mean, the matter is in court. I thought you were going to ask me specifically about this specific constitutional instrument that is that has been mentioned by Mahama Yarga. As for the merits of my action, that will be argued tomorrow. I'm not prepared to argue tomorrow. I'm not prepared to argue on radio, a case that I'll argue tomorrow.
But here your client is alleging that, for example, when they go to the hearing, her phones and laptops are seized while the petitioners have theirs. And that's why we want to really understand whether or not you've been able to ask the committee why that is happening.
Well, there have been series of violations against my client's rights, fundamental human rights, dignity, and what have you. I mean, these are matters that we complain of for a long time. And I'm not surprised that it continues. It continues because of the secrecy of the proceedings. It continues because there has been a lack of light shed on the proceedings. And clearly you see even how they are holding proceedings at a very strange location within the premises of the castle. And this is all part of a process to work mental torture against my client. I think this is all I can say for now. The merits of the application will be argued tomorrow.
Yeah, but the mental torture, when I read it, I was a bit sad. I mean, how was that playing out really?
Well, quite serious. I mean, for a woman who has served Ghana for upwards of about 30 years, she's been the Justice of the Superior Court for almost 30 years. She's been at the bar for 40 years, almost 40 years. She was called to the bar in 1986 and all that. So it's surprising that the person who is the head of the judiciary, that institution of state, which is supposed to be the protector of rights, and that institution which has actually been guaranteeing the rights of all Ghanaians, that person who has such an institution will be denied such basic rights. Is actually very ironical and something that every decent Ghanaian ought to ponder about.
How's she coping?
And we enter proceedings for removal of yourself as the fourth highest office holder of the land, and you are denied access to have your, denied the right to have your husband in the room with you. Your body is scanned by male persons. Clearly, I mean, this is torture.
Male persons scan
yes,
the body.
And apart from that, most importantly, you go to proceedings, notice of the charges not given to you, the specific charges in respect of which you are supposed to answer, not made known to you, and the case management is agreed on with the counsel for the petitioners, who indeed, I mean, whose presence in the matter is even of concern to me, because under every known rule governing the conduct of Commission of Inquiry proceedings, if you make a petition to which results in setting up of a Commission of Inquiry to probe a public matter, you're a mere witness. And the commission is supposed to have a lawyer, counsel. This is the first time we're having the conduct of committee or commissions of inquiry proceedings. So whatever is going on, as far as I'm concerned, is totally alien and offensive to every rule of justice that this country has been known to have adopted for itself over the decades.
How is she holding up?
Well, she's coping, as I always say. Yes, she believes very much in the word of God. She has said to me that if David was able to bring down a Goliath with an instrument which was innocuous, supposedly harmless, yes, anything at all is possible. She continues to have faith in the word of God. She also continues to seek inspiration from other great men in the history of the world who had to go through such trials and tribulations. But today I was quite intrigued. I'm surprised that you're not addressing this issue about the enactment of regulations to govern Article 146 proceedings. We just played a tape of Muhammad Yariga reading out in Parliament regulations that will be laid by the Attorney General. It's something that's of interest. And it's actually, I recall that the Martin as Attorney General, such regulations were actually drafted by the drafting division of the Office of Attorney General. So by the time I left office, those regulations were ready. So when I take up these courses, it's actually because I know that it is just and proper, and indeed steps have actually been taken by the Office of Attorney General to ensure a guarantee of the rights of Ghanaian citizens who go through Article 146 procedures. The Office of Attorney General, by the time I left, had fully enacted regulations. I made a comment about it on one of the radio stations, and these such regulations actually existed. They only failed to undergo the full process of stakeholder consultations in order for them to be laid before Parliament. And then the MPP lost power on 6 January 2025.
So you are aware of this process?
Yes, fully. It was actually, yes, I was aware of it.
Okay.
I reviewed it.
Now,
it was fully completed, was set, and it contained all requirements for prima facie determination, how it should be done, service of the petition itself on the person affected before there's any consultation at all. to be engaged in by the President of the Council of State.
Okay, so with the case being called tomorrow, will the CJ be there herself?
Yes, of course, she's a law-abiding citizen, and the matter affects her, and it's not just a matter affecting her personally. It is one that is of grave importance to the entire judiciary. I mean, this matter is not personal to Justice Tokono. It is one that affects and touches the dignity of the judiciary as an institution, and is one that actually seeks to protect the independence of the judiciary as well as the security of tenure of judges in the country. And even goes beyond the judiciary. You realize that in the Constitution, there is a whole gamut of public office holders who are supposed to also enjoy the privilege.
So I guess she'll be there. She'll be there herself.
Of course, I'm saying yes. I mean, she's the head of the she's the head of the judiciary. She respects the judiciary. If she has had to take out a rate in the courts of Ghana, and definitely is of good health, definitely she'll be there, and I'm sure she'll be there.
I'm grateful to you. Godfred Yeboadame is former Attorney General. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connect and Energies. Up next is Newsnight.
Tonight, MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Entry Boisiako, known popularly as Chairman Wumi, arrested and detained. We are live at the Yoko headquarters where party executives and supporters have been gathering, demanding his release.
So as I speak to you now, we are at Yoko already. They will come back to us. So as it stands now, we are still at Yoko. With cars surrounding his cars and with armed men causing scene on the public street. Is that necessary at this time?
Also tonight, National Security interdicts Electricity Company of Ghana staff, interrogates former Managing Director Samuel Dubik Mahama as Chief of Staff, directs full audit of over 2,600 missing but found ECG containers in a full-blown government investigation into the saga.
The Chief of Staff has directed that all these containers should be moved to ECG safe house, but an inventory should be taken to know the exact item. The former Managing Director has been invited by National Security. His caution statement has been taken. Some staff of ECG have been asked to step aside.
Details as a minority demands that Energy Minister John Jinapor be hauled before Parliament.
Position of the minority is that we are calling on the minister to appear before us in Parliament to give us a full brief of the entire details of what has transpired for the past 3 months.
In business, government advised not to be in haste to return to international capital markets. We hear from economist Professor Patrick Isumin.
Also, Sports Ministry to launch full audit of the Boxing Authority after findings link its negligence to Nigerian boxer Gabriel Olaronwoju's death in Accra.
You want to join us with your views and comments all here on News 905511119997, and we start tonight with that breaking news from Iyoko. He managed to stop the execution of a search order on his home in Kumasi last week. Well, tonight the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Entry Boisiako, known popularly as Chairman Wumi, has not been as successful in evading arrest. He is tonight languishing in the custody of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. In the last couple of hours, Wuntumi has been arrested and detained. Yesterday, the police CID officially cautioned him for allegedly engaging in mining operations without a license, polluting water bodies, and unlawfully entering a forest reserve. He is being investigated on these issues. Party executives and supporters have been gathering all evening at the premises of Iyoko demanding his release. One of them is the General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Kodia Frimpong.
Evening, around 4 p.m. thereabout, I received a call from cousin of Chairman Wuntumi that after attending to the invitation by the Ghana CID, on his way out, and when he had sat in his car, his car was surrounded by some 4 pickups, and as at that point there was a bit of confusion because he didn't know what was really happening. Initially, they were thinking that they were officers from the NIB, but eventually they were told that they were from officers from Yoko. So when we got wind of the news, myself and the national organizer and the third vice chairman came to the Yoko. So as I speak to you now, we are at Yoko already. They will come back to us. So as it stands now, we are still at Yoko.
So you don't know exactly on what charges he's been picked up by Yoko?
No.
Have you been allowed access to him? Or
No. We have not been given us the chance to meet with him.
And the reason is that they are still they are putting things together before?
Well, that's what we have been told.
So what does the party intend doing now? I mean, now that you're there?
Well, we are very surprised because this is a person who was invited by the Ghana Police Service and he honored that invitation. So if indeed, in good faith, Yoko also wanted to invite him, they could have also done so. Sometimes we don't need to create unnecessary tension and unnecessary discussions which could have been avoided. No one is above the law. We all agree. We are all respecters of the law. But at least for the sanctity of our state institutions, for the sanctity of our democracy, at least we don't need to go through drama and this one style of arresting people and trying to show that we are in government and we have the power. That's not necessary. That's not necessary at all, where we have gotten to as a country. And it reminds me of the statement that the president made when he was being sworn in, that he's going to be a father for all. And he said that even things that didn't go on well during our MPP's time, he will make sure that it doesn't repeat it. And what we are seeing, if the kind of resetting that they are resetting the country, then I'm afraid for our democracy.
I want to take you live now to the premises of Yoko, where my colleague Latif Idris is standing by for us tonight. Apart from the General Secretary of the MPP, who we just heard from there, who else from the party has showed up at the Yoko office?
Yes, so Evans, we have Nana B. So Nana B and the General Secretary are the topmost party officials you would find here at the Yoko office. But you also have a handful of party supporters who have also showed up here. I can count them about 25 to 30 of other party faithful who had gathered here to solidarize and show their support. But as we speak, Evans, Chairman Wumi is still in the Yoko building. And today, I'm looking at a very fortified Yoko office. Usually when you drive by or you walk past this building, you wouldn't find an armed operative manning the gate. But today, Evans, I can count 4 officers right now armed with their guns strapped around them, manning this particular gate. It tells you about the gravity of the personality involved, and so they need to take some precautions which they are taking to safeguard their office and make sure that the handful of supporters who have gathered here do not take the laws into their own hands to perpetrate anything untoward.
But the executives have still not been allowed access into the inner perimeter of Yoko, have they?
Exactly. So when I spoke with Nana B moments ago, he told me that when they came in, they approached the gate, introduced themselves to the officials, and said they wanted to get access to the Ashanti Regional Chairman, but they were denied entry. They were unable to tell me whether or not Chairman Wumi is in there with a council or is in there all by himself, because according to Nana B, when he went to the police CID headquarters, he was there with his lawyer, one of his lawyers, Andy Apia Kubi. But he is unsure whether or not Andy Apia Kubi followed him here to the Yoko office, where he is currently being interrogated. Information picked up so far indicates that Chairman Wumi, when he appeared before the police CID headquarters, the interrogation was done, concluded, and when he attempted to leave the CID headquarters, so he was no longer in the hands of the CID. That was the moment Yoko officials also, for want of a better word, pounced on him and arrested him, and he is currently in the Yoko building being interrogated. It remains unclear how long this particular interrogation would take and whether or not Chairman Wontumi will be released or he's going to spend the rest of the night here in the custody of Yoko Evans.
And presumably, as we're beginning to see this unfold, that more and more party supporters begin to throng to the place, you can expect that pretty soon, as this has been reported live, the more party supporters who throng to the places. The question really is whether the place has enough security. You've talked about at least 4 police officers who are armed. I believe they may have erected a cordon.
So far, no cordon. They are just protected by their main gate. And, yeah, like you mentioned, we see some of the executives here on the phone placing calls. We can only speculate that perhaps they are placing the calls to supporters to mass up here to show their support. But as we speak, like I mentioned, it's just a handful of supporters and 2 topmost party executives, Nana B and Justin Kojo, who are here presently. We do not know how the situation is going to turn out in the Chairman Wontumi is not released by Yoko officials. We do not know if the party executives here are able to mobilize a lot more party supporters to mass up here to solidarize with the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Evans.
And we'll get to learn a bit more about why exactly he has been picked up by Iyoko tonight, because that is the Economic and Organized Crimes Office. We know that he was being investigated for issues relating to illegal mining. So that obviously raises a few questions. We will need some clarity on the matter, and we'll get that for you. We're trying to get some of the party executives there who have been placing calls to their lawyers who we believe are with him in the Iyoko premises to get further clarity on this. Stay with me. I want to bring in Martin Kmebu. He, together with the other like minds, including the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, filed a petition a few years back on the same matter of Akonta Mining. Akonta Mining is owned by Chairman Wontumi, demanding CID takes action. And nothing happened until very recently. And we know from yesterday's statement issued by the police that they are indeed investigating him related to that same petition. It cautioned him yesterday for illegally engaging in mining operations without a license, polluting water bodies, and unlawfully entering a forest reserve. I want to bring in Kmebu now, who was part of that group of individuals who filed that petition. Martin, your reaction to what is happening, Economic and Organized Crimes Office, you're wondering, how has that got to do with what we know he's been investigated for?
Well, I'm not wondering. Actually, this is to be expected because, Iyoko, there are issues of money laundering. Some of the activities Wontumi undertook, even illegal mining. So if you undertake illegal mining and get money, that's a crime if committed. So if you seek to use that proceeds of illegal mining to do any other business, it will be money laundering. All right? That's a classical form of money laundering where we say there is a predicate offense. That's to say the galamsey is a predicate offense. So somebody would do galamsey, get money, and then seek to set up the conventional example they like using in the law school is set up a boutique. I'm sure because of those days, the case against Benjilo, that's Bonsu, Ose Bonsu alias Benjilo. Okay, so I'm not surprised at all. No, I'm not surprised. It rather confirms this in some of my thinking that you know the kind of things Wontumi did in this country. It's only under Akufo-Addo. Yeah, it's only under Akufo-Addo because Akufo-Addo would give him sucker. It's like Akufo-Addo is a mafia boss, and he was giving Wontumi all the sucker to do everything he did. So this invitation by Yoko, for me, from where I sit, at least we can use the publicly available knowledge. That's the illegal mining he did. The proceeds that he got from that can be used to investigate him for money laundering.
But your petition, I remember.
Example. So like previously, the most famous example is like they will say somebody brings drugs, that's narcotics, into Ghana or sends it abroad, gets money, and then sets up a business. So I go back to the Benjilo example because that's one that played out a lot in public. So you hear, a drug baron, okay, would get drugs, export out of Ghana, get money, and set up a business. So that person can be investigated for money laundering. So this wouldn't me one from the publicly available evidence, because let's not forget Abu Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Forestry, Martin Eisi, Chief Executive for Minerals Commission, and the Forestry Commission boss, I think at that time it was a certain Mr. Aluti, all came out to say Wuntimi didn't have the right and the necessary permits to enter the Tano Nimri forest.
And that was at the heart of your petition to the CID. So I ask you, surprised that yesterday he went to the CID, and that's where you directed your initial complaints and petition to. He wasn't arrested, let go. Today too, same, until Yoko stepped in and arrested him.
Well, that one too, I won't say surprise, okay? All I want to see is how that case will go to court. So yesterday I called that step Christmas come early, right? I'm not one in favor of pre-trial detention. No, I don't believe in that. You know, Evans, I went to court. There's a case called Martin Pebu number 2 versus Attorney General number 2. The Supreme Court said all offenses are bailable. Wound to me is somebody who is family this is rooted in Ghana. Generally, he doesn't look like a slight risk. So I won't jubilate that he's in detention. What rather matters is putting the case together and getting into court. This CID case, the only reason yesterday I was excited that we publicly saw it is that whilst Faustina and Kofi was CID boss, when we sent the petition, a certain Superintendent Nkrumah, who was head of the Inkum informed us that they had invited Wuntumi quietly. He came, he gave his statement and was admitted to bail. Quietly, we were not invited, nothing. That was the kind of information we're given under the tenor of Ando Kofi. And we felt there was a cover-up. But you see, yesterday's one, it was played out. We all saw it. Even if they didn't want media there, they could have called us, ambushed us that, oh, Martin, you guys come for a briefing with the CID boss. We get there, and then we are told that, oh, we just want you to witness Chairman Wuntumi giving his statement, this, so that there will be no media. Superintendent Nkum and Faustina and Kofi didn't do this. But you see, yesterday, the CID one, it was made public. You see, that's what we're asking for. That's why we asked for a change in government. But the upshot, the main thing we are waiting for is that these cases must make their way into court. Because Abu Jinapo, thankfully, is still alive and well. He can come and testify. Martin Eisi, Chief Executive for Minerals Commission, can come and testify. The Forestry Commission Chief Executive and the officers can come and testify. Erastus Asaredonko, who took the drone footages, etc., can also come and testify. So the accountability should continue.
Okay. Martin, thank you very much. And I want to take you back there to the Iyoko premises, the headquarters there, because I've just been joined by the national organizer of the MPP. He's a lawyer himself. And then he's been placing calls to try and establish what really is happening and why their chairman in the Ashanti region has been arrested. And I'm grateful that you could join me. Do you have any understanding why exactly he's been arrested and currently being detained from what we understand?
Evans, unfortunately, no. We were told that yesterday, you recall that he appeared at the police CID where he was interrogated on some illegal mining issues and then also entering some forest reserve without a permit. Okay, and then today he was told to report. And just when he was exiting the premises of the police CID, he was arrested in such Rambo-style manner, and are we going back to that dark day? Look, the person was invited by an investigative body, and he is complying. He is cooperating. He is supporting them with the investigation. And just when he was about exiting, you have almost 4 pickups full of men armed to the teeth, masked. And we are at the yoke, even for them to confirm whether he is here or not is another matter. For them to confirm whether he is with a lawyer or not is another matter. We've been here for 2 hours. Nobody is giving us any relevant information. And we are just around. And I ask myself, President Mahama, sir, I'm not sure this is why you were voted for. Yes, accountability is one of them, but I'm not sure that if you had told Ghanaians that you were going to arrest people in such awkward and such backward manner, they were going to give you the mandate. That somebody is invited by an investigative body just when he's about exiting, he is arrested in such rumble style as if he is a terrorist. And he didn't been granted bail by the police CID. I mean, look at the Adenta Kumi arrest. Such a useless arrest. Why? Because the person petitioned the president and he's been arrested. Look at Dr. Techefu's first arrest. Look at Gordon Asaribediaku's arrest. I am not sure this is why Ghanaians gave President Mahama such an overwhelming endorsement.
Nanabi, so how long is the party going to be there? I mean, yourself and the other...
We are here. We are still here. We are going to be here. We are still here. We want some answers. As to whether he is even been here, as I said, we haven't received any confirmation.
But yesterday
as to whether, even if he's here with a lawyer, we haven't received any confirmation.
Yesterday,
as well.
Yesterday went to the CID with the former Attorney General and a host of other lawyers. Obviously, today he must have gone back there with lawyers. So where are the lawyers?
Today he went with lawyer and the Apiakubi. Okay. But then they both parted ways, and so that is where we want to find out whether he is even with a lawyer. I mean, nobody even speaking to us. Nobody.
Nanabi, thank you very much. And we're keeping an eye on this closely. I still have Latif there because I want to get a quick update on the situation as it unfolds in the last few minutes. Pretty fluid situation. Latif, is the crowd growing bigger? And does the Yoko have reinforcements there?
Yeah, well, Evans, I can also tell you that, yes, the crowd is growing. We just had the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Titus Glover, also showing up here at the Yoko office. So at least we can say the number has grown by at least 2 individuals because he came in with his own driver. On the question of the backup on the part of Yoko, I'm unable to tell, but you could predict that Yoko have plans because of the personality involved in this arrest. Mr. Enchi is a huge personality within the New Patriotic Party. He commands a huge following, particularly in the Ashanti region and nationally. So the arrest of such individuals, if you are a security operative or expert, you can predict that indeed they have a backup plan to ensure they deploy additional operatives if the situation escalates and if the numbers increase from the handful of supporters that we currently have here. Let me just paint a picture of the circumstances under which Mr. Enchibu Esiako was arrested. So, as we have already established, Evans, he reported or he showed up at the CID headquarters as has been prescribed as part of his bail condition. Now, he had concluded every proceedings, if you like, with the CID and left the premises of the CID. So he was driving on his way home right in the middle of the road. We understand he was accosted by officials of Yoko who blocked him in the middle of the road with their own vehicle. When they did that, 4 masked men stormed out of the vehicle, approached Mr. Boesianko's vehicle, and asked that he followed them to Yoko office. And that is how come we have him here at the premises of Yoko being interrogated, Evan.
Thank you very much, Latif Idris. Marksman, pit maneuver. It sounds like a Hollywood movie. Let me bring in Justice Abdullahi, the constitutional lawyer, watching all this unfold with us tonight. If you're just joining us tonight, the chairman, Wumi, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, has now been arrested and detained. The party believes he's being held currently at the headquarters of the Economic and Organized Crimes Office. We've just been hearing from our reporter the details of how he was picked up, including marksmen leaping out of a vehicle. Several of them, they put him in a pit and blocked his maneuver and got him out of the vehicle into another vehicle of theirs and drove him off. As it's been described now, according to the party, he's been driven off to the Yoko offices. As we've been describing for you, the office is now one under guard, armed guard. There are blockades set up to prevent people from entering the inner perimeter of this. We keep an eye on this. Justice Abdullah, please give me your take on this. Martin Kpebu himself, who filed the petition that presumably has led to this arrest, does not believe that pre-trial detention is the right thing. Where do you stand on that?
Well, naturally, I disagree with Martin on that for obvious reasons. Once a person is arrested, the detention is a symbiotic part of the investigations to be conducted. Admittedly, the way we effect arrest here sometimes is problematic. First off, most of the time you don't even finish with our investigations before you effect arrest. And then we go to court and then inform the court that we are still conducting our investigations, and so the court should detain the person further, mostly for 2 weeks or a week, with the hope that we'll finish with the investigations. Clearly, that is not how proper countries are run. Unfortunately, that's how we do it here. So we use arrest as a form of punishment to offenders or alleged offenders. And so I believe it is on the basis of that my colleague and a good friend Martin is decrying the prosecution detentions. So he does have a point there, except that sometimes arrest and detentions are essential part of the entire scheme of things, because if you do not effect arrest, sometimes bigger offenses or aggravated versions of the offense for which the person is being arrested for or investigated for could be committed, or the person will take steps to, as it were, interfere with the investigation such that by the time you are done, you probably will not even have any evidence against the person. And so it is important, depending on the circumstances, arrests are effected, detentions are made, and then reasonable conditions given for the person to be admitted to bail. So that is how I'll put it. But unfortunately for us, it looks like the way we conduct arrest is a bigger challenge. Right from the days of possibly Jerry Rawlings till now, it got worse in the former president's time. And I remember complaining severally about how Gregory Akufo was treated. This is a man who had even been admitted to bail by a court of competent jurisdiction, yet he was kept in custody for well over 8 years. I mean, or thereabout, 6 years or thereabout, he was still in custody. When he had been admitted to bail, from one court to the other, he kept getting bail and he kept getting arrested right at the premises of the court. And then, strangely and funny enough, the same people who superintended over such an awkward administration of justice are the ones who are complaining today. My position has always been one, that what happened in the past should not be a basis of judging what is happening today. But unfortunately, sometimes you cannot just wish it away.
Yeah, and we're seeing this unfold in this particular case as well. Grateful, Justice, that's all time allows on this unfolding story, just giving you various perspectives on what is happening tonight with the arrest of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Chairman Wumi and Chubuesiako, who is languishing, presumably, at least if you believe the party executives, in the custody of Iyoko. We're still watching this unfold with our reporter on the ground, and you can catch all the updates on our social media platforms and on myjoyonline.com. Tonight, let's stay with the issues of arrest and interdictions, because Joy News is learning that the national security has interdicted a number of staff of the Electricity Company of Ghana and has begun interrogating former Managing Director Samuel Dubik Mahama in a full-blown government investigations into the over 2,600 ECG missing but found containers. The Energy Minister, John Jenapo, reported in March this year that at least 1,300 containers housing ECG cables and meters vanished from the port, prompting a joint national security operation to retrieve them. But fresh reports from the ministry today indicates that a total of 2,637 containers have been found, more than twice what was reported missing. As far as the numbers are concerned, spokesperson for the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxing, has revealed to join us tonight that the National Security has begun interrogating a former ECG MD, Dubik Mahama, on the matter. And the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, has also directed a full audit of the containers.
The first thing is that the audit for the contents has not been done yet. The Chief of Staff has directed that, one, all these containers should be moved to ECG safe house, but an inventory should be taken to know the exact items that are in there. Because, one, the matter is under investigations, and two, to know exactly what ECG has in its possession. So, yes, when it comes to contents, you can't speak directly to the total content, whether it's safe, whether it's intended, at this point it's early. Once the audit is done or the inventory is taken, we'll be able to make that determination.
Any idea when this audit would be concluded?
Well, the Chief of Staff directive was recent, so I'm sure that in the next few weeks that should be done. Because also the Chief of Staff directed that once the audit is done, because of the challenges of ECG, some of the items may be released to ECG to help continue the maintenance work that they've started. The security agencies are still investigating the matter. The former managing director has been invited by National Security. His caution statement has been taken. Some staff of ECG have been asked to step aside. Some staff of agencies related to this matter have been invited and questioned. So the resolve of the government to ensure accountability is not in doubt. The government is committed, and the Minister of Energy has already written to the Attorney General to advise on the way forward when it comes to prosecution.
Which means there will be a full-blown prosecution in this particular matter.
Once the Attorney General advice, definitely that will be the way to go.
I want to bring in Collins and Dumako Mensah. He's a deputy ranking member on the Energy Committee in Parliament, joins us now. And Collins, from what I understand from my parliamentary correspondent, the minority side, you are asking that the Energy Minister be hauled before Parliament on this matter. Why?
Well, thank you and good evening to your listeners. If you recall, Evans, a few weeks ago, the Minister was in Parliament to give us a brief on these missing containers. The initial conversation was that a total amount of 2,491 uncleared containers were at the port. The Minister, upon this information, set up a committee, and the committee was to investigate the circumstances leading to these uncleared containers. The committee came back with a report, and a frightening one, of course, and that when they went to the port, the total number of ports available was 1,357. What that meant was that 1,134 containers were missing, and these were their words. They were missing from the ports because the audit was conducted at the port. So their point was that it's been missing from the port. They can't find it amongst the 2,491. That was the narrative. Subsequently, if you recall, there was a political twist to this whole issue, and that members of the Israel government, some have connived with people to steal these containers and all that. This morning, there was a report on the Daily Graphic, front page of the Daily Graphic, and the report gave us a very different scenario, totally different from what the minister presented to us in Parliament. And what was the graphic saying? The graphic now is saying that further investigation has revealed that a total number of 2,637 containers have been retrieved, and the word they used was retrieved, at the same Tema port. That got us a little bit worried, especially with what the minister had reported to Parliament. if 1,137 containers were missing, and currently you have retrieved twice the number, 2,637, that obviously needs some reconciliation. It was on the basis of that that we indicated that we want the minister to come back to Parliament to clarify these issues. Now, our point was that once the containers have been found at the ports, it presupposes that it was not missing in the first place. I believe very strongly that maybe the audit process was not thorough enough, because if the first audit was conducted at the port and we are now being told that it has doubled and is being found at the same port, that needs some reconciliation.
And talking about reconciliation, we just learned from the Energy Ministry just before you joined us that the Chief of Staff has ordered a full audit into the missing, the containers that were announced missing but now found. Also, some staff have been interdicted. The former MD has also been interrogated. Is this something that obviously you applaud as part of getting to the bottom of this?
But Evans, my problem is that was it really missing in the first place? That is a very fundamental question that we should answer. Was it true that they were missing?
I guess that's why the Chief of Staff has ordered an audit, to establish what really happened.
And so, if that is the case, why was the narrative pushed out into the media and into the public space that the SWAL administration has mismanaged the whole process to an extent that containers at the port have suddenly flew away and was missing? Now we are being told by the same ministry that these containers really were at the port, and that a special audit, further audit has been conducted, and that a total of about 2,637 more containers have been found at the same port. What that means is that we are not retrieving. You just didn't do your audit well, and now you are finding out that the containers are at the port. We welcome the directive from the Chief of Staff, but of course that does not take away our parliamentary right to request the minister to come back to Parliament to give us the latest information on the issue.
Have you filed the needed processes in Parliament to trigger this?
In fact, this morning we had a press conference. Subsequently, the majority leader, in presenting his business statement for the week, missed out this opportunity. So I rose up on the floor and requested that if it pleases the business committee, we would like for them to schedule the minister to appear before the House within the week to give us an update.
So you're hoping that this will be done this week?
Absolutely. But that was the request that we put in, and I did that myself on the floor of Parliament
today.
That
was accepted by the business committee?
Yes, it was.
Okay, grateful. Thank you. That's Collins Odumako Mensah. He's a deputy ranking member on the Energy Committee. Let's do some business now. And I'm taking your views. I'll share your thoughts with you pretty shortly. 05511119997 is the WhatsApp line. If you have already joined us with thoughts on this unfolding drama with the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, and Chuboisiaku, who is tonight languishing in the custody of the Iyoko, and party supporters have already gathered there demanding his release. Charles in Legon says it is wrong to call party officials when an individual is arrested. Wuntumi didn't commit the offence on behalf of the MPP. Nanas on the Spinkters Road says, where was the MPP politicians and supporters when Wuntumi was showing gold nuggets on his TV station talking loose, or when he entered the forest to mine? Musa Abattoir says, I'm struggling to understand what exactly the suspended Chief Justice is trying to achieve with her latest petition. Is this an attempt to win public sympathy over her ongoing trial? The claim of mental torture simply because of a change in venue to Usu Castle seems exaggerated and frankly confusing. It all comes across as an incongruous cacophony rather than a coherent legal or moral argument. Well, that case is in court tomorrow, and our team will be there. You won't miss a thing.
Also coming up in business this evening, government advised not to be hasty to return to the international capital market. We hear from economist Professor Patrick Assuming, and also President John Mahama reveals recent cedi gains slashed Ghana's debt by nearly 150 billion cedis. Business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, Syntex tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Your family's health should never be a worry, no matter where you are in the world. Are you a Ghanaian in the diaspora, a foreign resident in Ghana, or a Ghanaian looking for the perfect health insurance plan for yourself or your family in Ghana? Then the Apex Ebusiapa health cover is what you need. A comprehensive health insurance plan to protect your loved ones. From hospital stays to life-saving treatments, we ensure quality healthcare at an affordable cost. Apex Ebusiapa health cover. You don't just send love home, you secure it. Visit Apex Health Insurance at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shashi East Legon, or call 0540-128-256 or 0501-683912. Apex Ebusiapa Health Plan. Global love, local care.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush the teeth and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
Saswabo. Sasso, sasso, come tonton preco. Sasso, sasso, come tonton preco. Edrana drami ne buseshe. Yeah, how can see ane malaria? Minya me pone me sasso spray. Every mosquito starting run away. Come tonton preco. Sasso, sasso, mi se come tonton preco. Come tonton preco. Sasso, come tonton preco. Nani shamne die e demonstronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. My name is James Ishan. Let's now settle for the details. First off, President John Mahama has revealed that recent gains by the cedi have played a pivotal role in reducing the country's total debt burden by nearly 150 billion Ghana cedis. Speaking during a high-level presidential session at the annual meeting of the African Development Bank in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, President Mahama said Ghana was on track to achieve its medium-term debt sustainability target far earlier than expected should the cedi's appreciation continue.
One of the push factors for the debt is the strength of the value of the local currency. Our debt continued to multiply because the cedi continued to grow weaker. And so you needed more cedis. Because our public debt is stated in cedis, the weaker the cedi becomes against the foreign currencies, the higher it pushes up your debt. Fortunately, some measures we put in place have recently begun to show results, and the cedi has been strengthening. And so we've reduced our total debt over the last 5 months by almost 150 billion cedis, which is very significant.
And that was President John Mahama there speaking at the annual meeting of the African Development Bank in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Now, still on Ghana's economy, economist Professor Patrick Isumin has advised government to focus on building the country's reserves through structural reforms and not to be in haste to go to the international capital market. President John Mahama yesterday at the CEO Summit organized in Accra announced that government will not extend the International Monetary Fund program after completion date next year, a move expected to enable the country go back to the international capital market to borrow. The economist professor Isumin is cautioning against the move.
Also, going back to the international capital market, I'm not so sure, but I think it shouldn't be part of our thinking at the moment. We still have fundamental challenges in the economy that have to be addressed. I think the president should focus on. Let's fix the real sector issues. It appears that the recent strong performance of the city seem to have taken too much attention, and we seem to forget that the economy still has real problems. So I think when you have the kind of challenges we have, the focus should be on fixing the challenges and not trying to get access to the international capital market. It's fraught with a lot of challenges and dangers. We've already seen it. So I think for me, that shouldn't be a priority.
And that's economist Professor Patrick Isumin. Still on cedi-related stories, the Institute of Economic Affairs has warned that the recent cedi appreciation could be reversed by December if government fails to scale up domestic production and export-led growth. Senior fellow Dr. Vladimir Nchudanso says the current currency stability is temporary and risk relapsing without structural reforms.
We must try and be an export economy. And that is the only way you stabilize your currency. That's the only way you make the other currency lower or stronger. So what we are doing is that we are not stabilizing permanently. We'll relapse. By December, I believe that will relapse. And I'm saying this from a technical point of view, and I'm not doing politics with it. What I'm trying to say is that it's not yet hooray for a cedi kind of appreciation.
But there
First IEA to some banking story now. The managing director of First Bank Ghana, Victor Asante, has assured that the bank will continue to support exporters in the country to rake in more foreign income. Mr. Asante said the bank has intensified measures to provide financial and technical support to exporters. He made a pledge at the First Bank's Exporters Forum held today in Accra.
A whole lot of other things that are also crucial, particularly when we work to export. Documentation, for example, is so big. Advisory services is so important. So we just need people to make sure they get advisory services and then they get also some of the documentation right and all of that. So for example, typically when you are exporting, you need certain documents around it to ensure that you are protected. This includes, let's say, letters of credit and all of that. So banks come in. Sometimes you also need correspondent bank services to get you going. So again, banks come in. So these are all things that you need to do with our exporters. So the idea is to bring people in.
Victor Asante is the managing director of First Bank Ghana, and that's all for business on Newsnight with me, James Ishin.
Telecel Cash has the lowest transfer charges ever in Ghana. Send it keke with Telecel Cash. You for sort out your old boy, send it keke. Your girl they bill you, send it keke. Merchant payment, send it keke to all networks. T-Cash agents in Swaji baby. You won't buy some 1212. Send it keke. And even better, T-Cash to T-Cash transfers are still free on the Telecel Play app.
Telecel Cash is a secure and convenient platform for cash transfers across all networks and anywhere mobile money transactions are made. Dial *110# to send money at the lowest charges ever, or download the Telecel Play app to send cash to T-Cash wallets for free. Telecel Cash. Send the keke.
Student, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're live on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll do sports pretty shortly, but there have been further development in that breaking news as far as the arrest and detention of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP is concerned. Chairman Wumi, my colleague Latif Idris, is still at the Iyoko headquarters, and he joins me right now with that update. Latif, I understand that there has been military deployment to the place now.
Yeah, Evan. So when we spoke moments ago, you asked the question if Iyoko had any backup plan. They've responded. They've given you the answer. Yes, they have backup plan. Moments ago, I counted 3 white pickup trucks with armed and uniformed military operatives, about 14 of them coming in to provide the needed backup. As we speak, they are now manning the gates, and the party supporters, the number is also appreciating. And I guess that is the intelligence the Iyoko officials picked, reason why we have the backup now. So at least 14 uniformed military operatives are here to protect the place. They've warned the party supporters to back off, and because they are very close to the gate of the Iyoko building, they've been warned to back off, get further away from the gate. Otherwise, reasonable force will be applied to get them to comply. They have so far not heeded to the warning. They've been chanting the name of Wuntumi and their new patriotic party, saying that they will stand tall, they will not back off, and they will stay here to solidarize with the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the party, who I must say is still in the Iyoko building. We do not know if he is being interrogated or he has been detained.
And Latif, very quickly, I also saw a video you shared. It appears a door was open and people were trying to force their way into the door. What was happening there?
Yes, so I mentioned that Titus Glover was here. When he came in, he made his way straight to the gate, and there was a bit of verbal altercation between himself and Iyoko officials. We cannot tell whether he was trying to make his way into the building or what exactly was going on. But when he did that, the party supporters also followed up with him and massed up at the gate, and that brought about some verbal altercation between the party supporters and Iyoko officials. That was around the same time that we saw the military operatives coming in, and that put some shivers down the spine of the party supporters, who backed up, but just a little bit. And now they are trying to stand toe to toe with the military operatives who have showed up here as a backup to de-escalate any possible escalation of the situation, Evans.
Latif, thank you very much. And you can just hop onto our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. You can see the videos coming in almost live from Latif there, all the videos I'm referring to. We are posting them as he sends them. You can also join us on Prime News at 7, because you're going to go live there so you can see what is unfolding before your own eyes. Let's do sports now. And
Evans is just a few hours away from that big game between Ghana and Nigeria in the Unity Cup. Is happening tomorrow in London. But the quick one also from the committee that was set up by the Sports Ministry to look into the death of the Nigerian boxer Gabriel Olaronwaju, and we understand that the Sports Ministry is set to launch a full audit of the Ghana Boxing Authority after some findings linked its negligence to the death of the boxer. My colleague Achutamaklo has been studying the report and came through with this.
The GBA and the fight's promoters admitted that there was no mandatory medical assessment for this fight. The mandatory pre-boxing medical assessments are necessary for ensuring that the boxer has no underlying medical conditions that could be further exacerbated by their participation in a professional fight. Any chances of the boxer surviving were further depleted by the fact that there were no doctors at ringside to provide the necessary emergency response. In fact, the GBA's entire emergency response infrastructure, according to the committee, is made up of just one nurse parading as a qualified medical doctor. The committee may have set out to investigate Olaronwaju's death, But the scale of what they uncovered left them with no choice than to recommend a full-scale organizational audit of the GBA. The Sports Ministry is expected to announce its next course of action this week, having adopted the committee's recommendations.
Well, at Latinkpa Basic School in the Northeast Gonja district, rising dropout rates have forced and turned teachers into door-to-door campaigners, moving through the community daily and urging parents to send their children to class. Emmanuel Jibenu reports from Latinkpa in the latest episode in our series Crumbling Start.
It's 10 a.m. at Latinkpa, a farming community in the Northeast Gonja district of the Savannah region. Inside the junior high school, the silence is deafening. The classrooms are nearly empty. Here, teachers do not just teach, they beg. Every morning, they come through the village, knocking on doors, pleading with parents to let their children come to school.
Sometimes you can come, some years are there, they will come 2, 3. The others will remain in town. You have to go and talk to them and they will come. God willing, they will listen to us.
I do go house to house, they know me. They will tell them the need for them to come to school.
The attendance sheet tells a painful story. JHS 1's register has not recorded a single student weeks after school reopened.
For now, they are yet to come because we are still talking to the parents to allow them to come. Because some are still in town, that they will not come.
In the previous term, the most consistent Form 2 students showed up just 32 times out of 60 days. Others barely made it for 20 days. The teachers believe the reasons are many, but they all point to despair.
They see no reason why they should send their children to school.
Also, they looking at the structure of the school. It is also another factor. No one will tell you that serious parent will not like to bring the child to the school.
We're having an engagement with one parent over why he's not sending is preventing his child from coming back to school. He said that you said, what do you have? We'll be here every year. We'll farm our yams and we'll buy brand new motorbikes. And you, what do you have? And everything you've been posted to this community. We've added this old motorbike up to now.
I'm a professional teacher. I have to teach because I'm paid to teach. But you've come to school and there are no students. What are you teaching? So that alone can demoralize you.
Even the teachers have their burdens. The only mud structure built to house them collapsed last year.
The teachers' quarters fell down. Rain came and destroyed it. If you have accommodation and you are staying here, at least you can get up, then look for the children, then they will come and you will teach them. Now I am pleading with the parents, they should understand that education is important and allow the children to come to school.
There must be a united push to keep Latinkpa's children in school. Government must ensure that classrooms are not just built, but made safe, welcoming, and worth attending. Because if teachers must beg to teach, how long before they give up? And if the classrooms stay empty, who would be left to dream? Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Northeast Gonja District, Savannah Region.
That's all for Newsnight tonight. My name is Evans Mensah, and Peps is up next with Geek Squad. How are ya?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm okay. What are you talking about tonight?
We are talking about how technology is changing so many things, and we are looking at the legal space